What's going on, Washington football fans? We have special guest, Mr. Mother Humper himself, Mark Holmes. How you doing tonight?
Mother Humper. Wait. I thought the Mother Humper was Philly fat, fat behind. That's the one that's always Mother Humpering over there, man. I'm just Mr. Spread the Mojo, man. I appreciate being able to join you on your channel tonight.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So I'm gonna shout out a couple people in the chat here.
Okay.
I do see some of your fans are in here tonight. What's going on, Justin Blount? Justin Blount. He said, "Let's go, Washington football team."
Yeah, something like that. All right, let's go Washington football team.
T Gang, what's
So
going
tell
on?
me, let me ask you a question. I know it's your show,
Mhm.
but I just want to know how you feeling about your team right now.
We got some momentum right now. We got some momentum. We just beat the Bengals. We're tied for second right now.
Hmm.
We got some momentum. We got a good run game going. So we might have to bring the broom out on Thursday. We beat up on you guys. You know,
Okay. All right.
we beat up on you
I hear you
guys.
talking.
Dalton, he's probably still seeing ghosts from that game, from the first game. We hit him pretty hard. Ballstick, he went up and hit him. I wasn't telling ball. I didn't want balls to go like that, but it is what
Well,
it is.
you know what? I got to tell you, man. I don't know. Did you hear that? I guess you didn't hear that, did you?
No, I didn't hear it.
Oh, shit. Okay, I got it in the wrong set. Okay, that was a shout out to my man. You don't understand. I ain't scared of you, motherfuckers. Okay. That was before. You know how it always is with Cowboys, Washington stuff. Um, you always have that rivalry where you can throw everything that happened out before. We can forget about all that, and I dare say that the team is a little bit different than the last time we played. Actually, I'd probably say both teams are. Alex Smith seems like he's really getting into a groove right now, and they're talking about him being your quarterback of the future. But the move for us, getting Zach Martin out at tackle with Connor McGovern as the right guard under his wing, that was actually a really good combination for us. I think our offensive line is actually yesterday played the best that they've played all season. I think that's going to help because if we can open up some holes for Zeke Elliott, then it doesn't allow Andy Dalton to be quite as exposed as he was before. But it's a short week and it's a crazy NFL season, so anything can happen.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, we had 6 sacks against you guys. I remember Andy was yelling at his linemen.
Yeah.
Last game when he did get hit, nobody went to help him up. So that tells you a lot. You guys, you guys did look pretty good. I'm not gonna lie. You guys looked pretty good last night against Kirk Cousins, who does always choke in big moments. You
Kirk
know,
Cousins 2-7 against the Dow. Oh, 2-7 against the Cowboys. So yeah, we can always guarantee with Kirk Cousins being a flop.
right? Shout out to Pedro Smith. What's going on, man? So I mean, you guys won last night. So I do want to ask you some questions about the NFC least, and then I do want to ask you
Mhm.
about the rivalry as well. Uh,
Okay.
do you still get hyped for this rivalry?
Oh my God, Ed, did you see what I did before the last game? I went over to that toxic waste dump that you guys call a stadium, FedEx Field, and actually walked around it, took some pictures, reminisced about some of the old games and stuff. See, I'm old school, meaning, read between the lines. I'm just old. I remember the George Allen days. Okay, I know you were probably just a gleam of your dad's eye back then, but I remember, those games where football was totally different than what it is now. Football now, everybody helps each other up. We're working out together and everything else, and they all think of it as I am, my own company, my own business, and everything else, and it's everybody out for themselves. Back then, it used to be the players were Cowboys or they were Washington, and they really lived and died for this game. And we used to actually play for something. And it's bothered me because the only thing we've been playing for forever is basically bragging rights. Either one of us would be pretty good or the other one would be pretty good, and might make the playoffs, but weren't really making any noise. At least for Thanksgiving, we're actually playing for first place. To me, I love it. And, I'm doing everything I can to bitch slap as many Redskin fans as I can.
Yeah, that's not happening. But no, I did see your stream last night. You did call it. You did call it. They said you and Jobu were gonna jinx the Cowboys, but you did call the win. You did call our win.
I was 3 for 3. I said the Eagles are going down, that the Eagles have been literally falling down that slippery slope. Man, that whole team is about to implode. You guys have been getting better and better and better. That defensive front of yours is really good. But the question has been quarterback. The last couple of weeks, not so much this week, but the other 2 weeks, Alex Smith has been looking really, really good. So it'll be interesting to see how well he finishes up the season and if you guys are still interested in another quarterback or not.
Yeah, Alex he's played. He hasn't been bad. He actually has been different. He's known as a check down quarterback. He's actually throwing the ball downfield a little bit this year.
Check down Charlie.
Yeah, that's what he is. That's what he did, in 2018 when we were 6-3. We did beat you guys when you did come to FedEx, and we beat you guys 2017. I do remember that game.
Yeah. Oh man. Oh, I see who just came into the chat. Burgundy and gold. You're next, buddy. You're next. I'm coming after your ass too, man. Yeah. Man. I just, this game is going to be interesting to say the least. It's a short week for both of us. We did a walkthrough today. We were fortunately actually probably as healthy as we've been. We've got some minor nicks and bruises and things on here. Hopefully Alan Thielen didn't pass COVID on to the whole team. That's my biggest worry at the moment because he tested positive and now he's on the commissioner's list. And we did kind of play him yesterday. Hopefully he somehow got it after he left the game against Dallas.
I would say you probably didn't get it because he was 6 feet in front of your cornerbacks all game yesterday. Same thing with Justin Jefferson. So.
All right, I hear you, but you know what? We got the W.
Yeah, you did. Shout out to Burgundy Gold fan all day. All my channel members, if you do have the emojis, make sure you put in the Dallas sucks pillow. Make sure you put that in the comments. Make sure you spam the comments with the Dallas sucks emoji if you are a channel member. JB Hardy, I see you. On the warpath, make sure you do that. Burgundy and Gold fan, make sure you do that as well. But yeah, I hope you guys don't test positive. All I know, the Baltimore Ravens, they had a couple players test positive.
Yeah,
so we'll see what happens. And we do have a short week, so it's but I think it should be fine. I did want to ask you about the NFC East.
Okay.
How many wins do you think it's going to take to win the NFC East?
All right. Well, this is going to be an interesting one. Okay. For us, we actually have probably the easier schedule. Of course, we got you. We've got the Bengals. Appreciate you guys knocking out Joe Burrow. That actually helps us out quite a bit. We have the 49ers. We got Baltimore. Baltimore isn't quite as good, but Baltimore is still really good. Okay. As you looked at Baltimore, thought they were a juggernaut. We've got the Giants and we got the Eagles. If the Cowboys can take care of business in their division, which we haven't thus far, I think the Cowboys. I'm gonna say I think the Cowboys get the win on Thanksgiving. Short week, you guys got to travel. I think the defense for us is playing better, and I think Andy Dalton may have had that humble pie. If you remember in Any Given Sunday when Steamin' Willie Beeman, kind of got a big head. I think Andy Dalton thought, yeah, I finally got the Dallas Cowboys. I'm going to be the quarterback of America's team. And like you're pointing out, he was over there cussing out the players on the offensive line and stuff. And then he gets crap knocked out of him. And then, of course, he gets COVID on top of it, that maybe he came back into that huddle and said, guys, man, I was just a big ass. I'm sorry. We're all in this together. And, they all made nice. Now, Andy Dalton is still Andy Dalton. He missed a lot of plays or a lot of catches that our receivers made great. King Sean, what do you mean being delusional? What do you mean being delusional? Come on, man. Delusional. Listen, I know everybody said I was delusional when I said that the Cowboys were going to beat the Vikings, but I at least went through and I looked at the trends on my defense. Okay, I knew if we could actually stop the run, which we're doing better now because we got the big men in the middle. Okay, my man, the Canadian Bulldozer and Antoine Woods, both of those guys for the first time in forever, we're clogging up the middle, which is helping to keep the quarterbacks from being able to have, a line of sight downfield. We're being able to slow down the runs, and we're being able to pick up a little bit. I actually think the Cowboys should be able to get 6 or 7 wins. That's what I look at the Cowboys. The Eagles, man, they've got a tough road to hoe. The Eagles may not win another game this season. They've got Seattle, they've got the Saints, they've got in Arizona, they've got Green Bay, they've got Cowboys, and they've got you guys. And I think the Eagles are the worst team in the division. So I think that 3 games, maybe they get 1, they get 4 wins. The Giants, they've got kind of a tougher schedule, but the only victories the Giants have are the Eagles, us. No, I'm sorry, Eagles and you guys twice, right?
Yeah. So yeah,
they're playing better, but I'm not really sold on the Giants. I think they get another win. I'm trying to remember. You've got who you still have?
So we have 4. I think we have like 6 games after you guys. After this one, we have 4 teams with losing records, including you guys.
Mm-hmm.
Niners with Nick Mullins.
Oh, I forget the Niners for us too.
We got the Seahawks, Steelers. We got the Panthers with PJ Walker, the XFL quarterback.
And that may be a revenge game for Ron Rivera. So that that could go either way. The thing I think about with you guys is with Ron Rivera. Ron Rivera likes to run the ball, and now that the weather's turning bad and stuff, you might try and start running that ball a little bit more. If he can get that running game going, it'll take some pressure off Alex Smith. So I think 6 games could win the division. I don't think the Giants will get more than 6. In fact, I know the Giants won't. We know the Eagles won't. I think the Cowboys have a chance to get to 6, maybe 7. Where do you see your team coming?
Well, I'm not surprised you think you would get 6 or 7. I don't see you guys getting 6 or 7. I think the division could be won at like 5, maybe at 5. But I think it has to be won at 6. I think.
We got Bengals, Washington, Giants, and Eagles. I think we win 3 of those games. We win 3 of those games at least.
I wouldn't be surprised.
That gets us to 6.
Yeah, because what's the back? Ryan Finley is awful. He's terrible. I don't know.
We should get the Bengals. Okay, it's division games. We'll win at least 2 of the 3. 2 of the 3 at least, and that gets us to 6.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah, you're gonna beat the Bengals. The Eagles are terrible. Carson Wentz is probably playing like the worst quarterback in the league right now. He's leading the league in turnovers. So you probably will beat the Eagles if I had to put money down right now.
Right.
So that's 2. That's 5 wins. That is 5 wins.
Right. Right there. That's 5.
That's 5 wins. And you lose to us on Thursday.
Okay. So, hold on. I got to throw up here for a second.
Make sure you guys put the Dallas sucks emoji in there. But yeah, you guys lose on Thursday. You guys probably beat the Eagles because they're playing terrible. You beat the Bengals because it's Ryan Finley. So that's 2 wins. Giants, they have a tough schedule. They might win 2 more.
Mm-hmm.
They might win 2 more the most. So I got 6 wins. 6 wins win the division.
Yeah. So let's put it this way. I think it's all going to come down to the last week of the season because we've got the Giants, you've got the Eagles, right? Last game of the season?
Last game of the year, we got the Eagles.
The division is going to come down to the last Sunday. Cruising, what are you talking about? 2 garbage teams? Buddy, put your team in there with that garbage too, buddy. Okay? I see you in there, Cruising.
All right, I'm going to get to the donations real quick. Mr. Finesse says, how does Dustin Hopkins still have a uniform? Good question. Our kicker is really bad. He's almost as bad as your kicker from last year. What's his name? Brett Maher?
Money Maher. Yeah. He could hit after 60 yards, okay, but couldn't hit anything under 50, man. Damn, we had the worst kicker in the NFL last year.
Yeah, Dustin Hopkins. He's battling with Brett Maher for the worst kicker in the NFL right now. He's really bad. He can't make a 30-yard kick. It might come. I think the game's going to come down to a field goal, and he really could cost us the game. He can't even make kicks in a dome. The Lions game.
Wait. Hold it. You're saying it's going to be a close game?
Of course.
You don't have that confidence after you literally kicked our teeth in last time that you're just going to blow us away? I mean, really. I mean, I'm humbled. I'm hoping that we can compete. Okay, by all means, we did get our teeth kicked in by you guys with there's no doubt. We sucked. I mean, literally, we sucked.
That is true. That is true. Dalton, he soiled his pants after the hit. I mean, CD couldn't catch a cold. He had hands like
Mhm.
snake. Chase Young, Kerrigan. We had 6 sacks on you guys once again. I mean, Dalton, it was a rough game for you guys, but this one's going to be close. It is tough to win in Jerry world.
Mhm.
Jerry does pay the refs as well. I'm not going to use that as an
Oh, here
excuse,
we go.
but we've seen that in the past. I think it's going to be. You guys have gotten better, so I can't sleep on you guys. I don't think it's going to be a blowout on either side. I
Mhm.
think both teams have gotten better. We made quarterback changes. Alex doesn't turn the football, as much as the other guys that were in there. And Dalton, he looked competent. That was Dalton's best game by far against the Vikings.
Well, truly, whoever wins this game this weekend has the inside track on getting the division. Um, I mean, you really get a good jump on it. So it is kind of important. Now, I got a lot of my faithful that are out there like, screw this season. It's COVID and everything else. Let's tank and get the best picks possible. And, there is something to say, yeah, we could have a top 5 pick. Does sound real good. But in the end, it's kind of like, I know you want to win, division champs 2020, right? Pat?
Yeah, I got that.
I know you want that. But I still want to finish off the season strong. To me, and probably both of us are in the same boat. If you end up just looking bad, where everybody's kind of checked out, to me that kind of looks at the coach and people kind of start thinking maybe this guy isn't that good. But if on a year where you're not expected to do much, you start turning around, you start feeling good about what you're playing, you start buying into it, then you start believing in the coaching staff. And I think that helps more than anything else, is that you believe that you can succeed. If you, like, before we turn anything around, we had guys that were saying the coaching staff, is unprepared. They don't know how to teach. The system's too hard. And it's kind of like a mob mentality that guys will go through. It's like the next guy, yeah, you're right, man. Let's blame the coaches. And the next thing you know, all of a sudden, everybody's going along with that same narrative. They got rid of some of the guys that were kind of the malcontents and things. And it seemed like then the ones that were here, these younger guys started playing, and it became infectious. So other guys started picking up their play and stuff. And that's how I really want to finish off the year, feeling at least good that, hey, we started out like the worst team in football, but we at least got somewhere close to 500.
Yeah, I do remember you guys. You had the rumors, or not rumors, but calling out the coaches. You had the
Oh,
anonymous sources
yeah.
saying guys can't coach, they can't teach, they can't make in-game adjustments. I mean,
Hmm.
has the coaching staff improved from Jason Garrett, in your opinion?
Time will tell. I think,
But
this year.
it's kind of,
Well, here's the thing.
but it's kind
You
of
guys, you
bad.
guys and us, you can't really judge this year.
Hmm.
If you look at it right now, if you're the Eagles, you got to say, oh my God, we got problems, because they're the only team in the division that came in and knew the system, right? Carson Wentz has been doing the same thing for 3 years, so there's not a learning curve. You get a new coach, we get a new coach, and the Giants get a new coach without an off season to go ahead and really start implementing. Think about when Joe Gibbs first came to Washington. They were ready to run him out after week 5. His first year, he was 0-5. The team looked lost. Everything he was trying to do, deep passing, because it came from the Chargers, where it was Air Coryell, and he realized, I got a slow, bruising running back. I got a quarterback that's not a guy that's going to be able to light it up down the field like Dan Fouts, but I got a big offensive line. He came up the one back set, and then by the end of the year, I think he ended up at 8-8. So you started to get into that groove where people started to buy in, and you started getting some momentum. And the next thing, boom, you're one of the teams of the 80s. And so it takes time to build on it. But I don't think there's been enough time for this season with, no OTAs. You had 2 weeks of conditioning and then 14 practices that you can say, we're going to go ahead and put in a system. You really can't. So you're kind of going blind. And I think a lot of coaches will get a pass on this year because of that. So am I saying that it's better coaching staff? Well, Mike McCarthy's had more winning than Jason Garrett did, but it's a different system. Our defense, I'm not sure about Mike Nolan. We're kind of stuck between a 3-4 or 4-3. We don't really have an identity yet, but we're beginning to find some players that are working the system a little bit better. So we still have a lot of evolution to do next year for what they're trying to coach.
So, and I know some of your high paid players haven't really stepped up this year. You know, Jalen Smith. You know, what's going on with him? You know,
Oh my God.
I've heard some rumors about, you know, if he doesn't take a pay cut, then,
Well,
you
the
know,
problem with, the thing that Jerry Jones sometimes does is he's always quick except for with Dak Prescott, is quick with signing people. He signed Jalen Smith after one great season. And since that time, he has just been, he's got his side business and everything else. He's got his swipe. And sometimes it seems like he's more interested in doing the swipe. And he just looks kind of lost out there. He's taking bad angles. He's doing a lot of misreads. He's out of positions. I mean, he probably was one of the worst players on the field for us on defense yesterday. I'll be honest with you. Unfortunately, though, the way this contract is set up, I think he gets 9.8 million is his cap hit for next year. If you release him, you're only saving $400,000. So you cut him, you're saving 400,000, but you're not replacing him for that unless you're drafting somebody. So you got to get him on board, or you got to figure out something that he can do to kind of help the team. We brought in Dontari Poe, we brought in Darryl Worley, we brought in Emerson Griffin. We ended up bringing in Gerald McCoy, and in the end, we got 2.5 sacks out of Dontari Poe. I'm sorry, out of Emerson Griffin, and a 5th or 6th round draft pick in the trade. But the other guys, they didn't do anything for us. The thing that the Cowboys have actually been good at is actually drafting, and we need to kind of stay away from the free agents and get into the draft and fill some of the holes that we have.
Right. Yeah, I know the rumor about Dontari Poe being cut because he was overweight or something like that.
Well, we signed him, and he was on the PUP list for most of training camp. We got a short training camp to begin with, and you're on the PUP list, so you didn't get much practicing. I'm not sure if it was all overweight, okay? But he didn't move very well in it, I'll say that much. But he was also the only player on the team that kneeled, and we know how Jerry Jones is,
Right.
and it may have been that he was one of those ones that kind of said, man, these coaches don't know how to coach, and didn't really buy into the system too much. But getting those guys out there and getting some of the younger guys playing has actually played dividends on our defense, because we could not, stop anybody. We give up 309 yards to the Browns on the ground, which is a disgrace.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you gave up 100 yards to Antonio Gibson as well.
Mm-hmm.
So don't forget about that.
Yeah.
Tone Ho, thank you for the donation. He says, I'm so hyped for the Cowboys game. We beat them once on our turf. We can beat them again on their turf.
Mm-hmm.
Another donation. The comments went away. Alexander Wilson, thank you for the donation. He says, Washington football team plays in Landover because Jack Kent Cook pinched DC's mayor butt, Sharon Pratt Kelly, and refused to do a deal with the team for a stadium. So
Well,
I don't know if you heard about that, Mark, because that's a little
well,
before.
the sad thing, man, he tried everything in the world because he knew he was old, he was dying, he wanted a stadium. He originally wanted in DC. That deal got messed up. He actually looked at having it in Richmond there for a minute. They actually did a groundbreaking in Old Town, south of Old Town Alexandria, for it. They broke the ground and started digging on it, but then they ended up, Alexandria people were like, oh, hell no, we don't want that Washington stank here in Alexandria, and they fought it, and then finally PG County said, hey, we'll take you, and they built it over there, and they built it in a rush. But I'm not mad at Jack Kent Cook, because Jack Kent Cook built that with his own money, which is something you don't see now with owners. Owners aren't spending money to build stadiums anymore. They're getting the community, but Jack Kent Cook actually built it himself. Originally called it Raul John Maryland for his kids, Ralph and John. It was crazy. It was like, wait a minute, there's no such thing as Raul John. It's like, it's Raul John Maryland. So I know a little bit about you, Washington guys.
Yeah, his statue just got taken down. They removed his name already from some things.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, or was that no, I'm sorry, not
Preston Marshall.
Preston. My fault. Yeah, Preston Marshall.
Yeah, no. For all you Washington fans that are in here, shout out to the 162 of you. I only see 50 likes. Man, hit that like button. Man, what's wrong with you? What's wrong with you, man? You listening to one of the best Washington whatevers YouTubers out there, man. Show them some love. But the reason why I was born in the Washington D.C. area, the reason I am a Cowboy fan, and I don't want to hear people say I'm a bandwagon fan, it was because of my father. And what you'll find, if you find a lot of the older black people that are, around Washington. You get a lot of them that are actually Cowboy fans. And the reason being is because of Preston Marshall. The NFL started integrating football in 1948, but here it was the 60s already, and the Washington team still did not have a black player. My father is going through segregation and dealing with all the stuff and everything going up, and he's looking at this Washington team that has nobody that's like him on the team. I'm not saying that things were great in Dallas, but you had black players, and obviously he's a big fan of Bob Bullet Hayes, so that's why he was a Cowboy fan. And me growing up, I always looked up to my father and still do to this day. I can remember some of the first things in life were sitting on the couch next to my dad, hearing him, cheering on the Cowboys. And I didn't know what football was. All I knew was, yeah, go Cowboys. And it just followed me forever. The crazy thing is I went to high school with Richie Pettibone's kids. His son, Richie Jr., actually played at the University of Maryland. His daughter was also a cheerleader. And Joe Gibbs's kids were at Oakton, which is our crosstown rival. So we were all around, Washington. And this is when Washington was good. I graduated in 1984. So I'm like literally in the middle of Redskin Central, being a Cowboy fan, hating life because the Washington team was really good. But that's the reason why I'm actually a Cowboy fan. So I've been a Cowboy fan before they ever won a Super Bowl. So people want to say I'm a bandwagon fan, go right ahead. I don't care.
On the Warpath, shout out to him. Make sure you guys sub him up. He's a Washington YouTuber as well. He said Mark is a in the closet Washington fan.
Okay. All right. Whatever.
And on the Warpath, thank you for the donation. He says McCarthy smashing watermelons for motivation like he's Gallagher. I thought it was his watermelon guts. Bump those mother humpers.
Yeah, I heard about that earlier, this evening and stuff, which, if that works, hey, I'm happy. That's a lot better than your defensive coordinator. You know what your defensive coordinator did?
Who, Jack?
Back in the day in Jacksonville, he had an axe and a piece of wood, and that was right there at the locker room, okay? And the motto was just keep chopping wood. And the kicker ended up cutting his foot with the axe. So there's that.
Yeah. I mean, Mike is known for some crazy things. I don't know if you heard about Mike McCarthy and his massages.
Yeah, we heard about that. Yeah, that he was. Yeah. Well, we'll see if he gets any massages or not. You know what? If they win games, please go get a massage. I'm happy with that.
Oh man! So I wanted to ask you something else. Rank the NFC least quarterbacks right now. Active quarterback, not the ones that are on IR. The ones who are actually playing on Sundays, 1 through 4.
Okay, we can start in the bottom. Carson Wentz is the worst. I'm sorry. Carson Wentz has no excuses. The Eagles are probably one of the healthier teams. The last 2 weeks, they've actually gotten really, really healthy. He's got his complement of receivers. Now, I know his offensive line hasn't been playing well, but from a team having as much of the original personnel and having the same system, Carson Wentz should be blowing everybody away. But he has literally regressed every year. So I'll put him down there. Denny Dollar Store, I would put up there next. Denny still has he needs to run a little bit faster and have a little bit more wind because he definitely ran out of gas on that one. Still turns over the ball too much. Still sometimes is slow on the read. So I'll put him at third. Alex Smith and, of course, Andy Dalton. By the numbers, Alex Smith is actually playing better. He's definitely got more yardage passing on it. And Andy Dalton had, one game-winning drive for us with the Giants. Played solid yesterday, but nothing to write home about. I mean, really, you could say you could flip a coin and say it's 1 and 1A between Alex Smith and Andy Dalton. I think if Andy Dalton has a running game, he's going to be a lot more effective.
That's true. Yeah, I agree with Carson. Carson's fourth right now. He's the worst behind. He might be just as bad as Ben DiNucci. Third is third. Yeah, I think it's Danny. I call him Danny. Yeah, it's got to be Danny. I call him Danny Fumbles, but I can't. And I see you cruising. We're talking about your boy Danny Fumbles. I can't talk too bad because somehow, some way we got swept by the Giants. And then
Oh, yeah.
it's crazy. And then if it is neck and neck kind of with Alex and Andy, but Andy, he turns the ball over a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
So I probably would have to go with Alex for right now. But I think whoever wins this game definitely cements themselves as the best active quarterback in the NFC East. And no quarterback is really that great in the division right now.
Mm-hmm.
But whoever ends up winning this game, and yes, it is gonna lean on this run game. Shout out to Alexander Wilson. He says Abe Poland private financed the Capital One Center in DC that moved help change DC in the 90s. Don't forget what he contributed to
I
DC.
remember the Cap Center, man. That was a dump. Okay, sorry, that was a dump. But hey, it is what it is.
Yeah, King Sean says Alex Smith over Andy Dalton. I agree. Like I said, we have to see this weekend. I mean, we have to see on Thanksgiving. I think Andy has somebody said Carson's number 6, and this is coming from an Eagles fan, Robert Dredden.
Oh, they're hating Carson Wentz right now, man. The thing is, the Eagles. Here's the thing: if you look at the future, to me, the Eagles are screwed. The Eagles have their cap number right now is $263 million. Think about that. They've got a lot of guys. I mean, like Deshaun Jackson. I think he's played 3 games in 2 years right now. And basically, to let him go, it's gonna cost him like $8 million. I mean, do you bring him back? I mean, you look at Jason Peters. That whole thing. He needs to just retire today, because he's terrible. You look at where they are cap wise. They got to gut the team just to get down to even. I mean, they are in the second worst cap situation in the NFL. And you look at it and say, these guys are healthy and this is the best you can do. They're going to be headed for some lean years the next couple of years. I think Ron Rivera and that defense is going to scare me for years. I think, given time, he's going to be able to build something there. I'm not sure about Jason Garrett and Joe Judge. I think Joe Judge is actually doing a bit of a power play. I think Jason Garrett's gotten too much pub in there, and I think that's why Marco Colombo got kicked to the side where Joe Judge brought in his guy. I think he's thinking that Jason Garrett kind of killed Wade Phillipson with Dallas, and he's watching us back. I'm not sure how that dynamic's going to work. I know the Giants still need a whole lot of talent there. I think my Cowboys, we get back some of the frontline guys. If we have a good draft, I think we should be good for a few years. But, everything is subject to change in the NFL, as they say, not for long.
Right. Yeah, I did want to ask you who do you think is the best coach in the NFC East right now? I don't think any of them are doing good at all. I mean, your record is what you say. Your record is what you are.
Ron Rivera got handed a shit sandwich. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, if you were handed a job, I would say Washington would have been the least one that you wanted to go to in the division. I'm sorry, I'm not throwing shade, but the whole, booby gate, scandal, as Burgundy Go always talks about, that whole deal and dealing with the name change and everything else, and coming to Washington and then having to deal with the quarterback situation. Haskins. What the hell happened with Haskins? And then Alex Smith, the guy coming back on one leg. You looked at that and said, is that really a great job I want to go to? The Giants, of course, you got New York and things. You had a group running back, you had a quarterback that maybe might be manageable and so on. That looked a little bit better. But if you were, choosing jobs, although you got Jerry Jones, you looked at the cupboard and say, okay, I got Zeke, I got Dak, I got wide receivers, I got a pretty good offensive line. You looked at that and said, okay, I have something to work with here. Didn't work out that way because we're top heavy in salary. And once you start getting past that top layer of guys, you don't have money to really pay competent, backups. And that's the mistake that we've been making.
Right. So, yeah, if I had to rank the coaches, I see, shout out to Juan Gotti. I think he said Doug Peterson would be number 4 right now as the worst coach.
Yeah, he's made some great. I mean, he's always going for 2. I mean, he's putting them in bad situations, and you kind of say, "What the hell?"
Yeah, I mean, and he's staying behind Carson. I don't know how much longer he can. If he plays bad against,
he really doesn't have a choice. I mean, you let him go next year, it's a $45 million cap hit. How are you going to absorb that when you're already way over?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, they gave him the money a little too early. It's biting them in the butt right now, so they can't. They even if they want to go to Jalen Hurts, like you said, it's about the money. So he's got Mike at 3, Ron Rivera at 2, and Joe Judge at number 1.
Mr. YTC, you got Peterson at number 1, Joe Judge at 2, Rivera, and then McCarthy. Man, get the man, put down the crack pipe. Put down the crack pipe, dude.
Christian Soto, thank you for the donation. He said, "What would be better than a win at their house?" I mean, yeah, I can see it right now. I can see Chase Young with the turkey leg and Terry McLaurin right in the middle, kind of like how RG3 did.
We can't do that, man. Oh man, my Cowboys got to get a win. We just got to get a win.
So what do you say? What do you say to the Cowboys fans that would rather tank and get Trevor Lawrence, even though that's not going to happen, rather than winning football games and staying with Dak Prescott?
You're stupid. You're stupid. I'm sorry. Take a look at Cincinnati. You know, Joe Burrow, number 1 guy, right? Joe Burrow actually played really well. But are the Bengals better than they were last year by bringing just him in? Because here's the problem. You know, unfortunately, there's a lot of fans out there that look at and say, oh, see, Andy Dalton, he's the winner. He ended up winning that game yesterday. But it wasn't Andy Dalton by himself. For once, we had special teams that actually played well. We had a defense that actually got some takeaways, you know, in the game. We had a team effort all the way. We had wide receivers that were playing well. We had Amari Cooper actually show up on the road, which are things that weren't happening on a regular basis. But people have this image that automatically a quarterback's going to change anything. The reality is, if you put Trevor Lawrence behind the way our offensive line was playing, you know, a couple of weeks ago, he's not going to win any more games for you. And if you end up spending that draft capital on him, those holes that you need to be filled, you can't fill them. You know, your ultimate goal is, let me get a franchise quarterback. If I can get that in the draft, then great. You've got one that's not going to cost you any draft picks sitting right there, ready to go, who knows how to work with the weapons that he has, that is loved on the team. You'd be stupid to just say, let's let him walk. I mean, let's just take a look at you guys, how long. I mean, I'm not trying to throw shade on you, but in the last 10 years, you paid Donovan McNabb $45 million for 1 year, right? Because he signed a couple-year deal. They released him after 1 year. 3 number 1s and a second to try and get RG3. 1 great season, right? Fortunately, in that draft, you did draft Kirk Cousins. He got, you know, $48 million from you for the years he was there, and he left, and you got nothing for him, although it might not have been the worst thing him going. You end up signing Alex Smith to replace him because you say, okay, we can get a better quarterback right there. You know, he's got $73 million for the 3 years, and how many victories? He's got 2 this year and 5. So you got 7 victories for $73 million, right? Then you draft Haskins in the first round last year. And you still kind of look at it and say, well, maybe Alex Smith is the quarterback of the future. It's just too many unknowns with trying to get a quarterback. You know, how many times have we seen, oh, yeah, we can just grab a quarterback and it's going to work. Just take a look at the last, you know, few years of quarterbacks. How many do you honestly say are going to be better than Dak Prescott besides Mahomes and maybe Lamar Jackson? But, you know, Deshaun Watson, I'd say they're about on the same plane. Lamar Jackson's kind of come back down to earth. You know, would you take Baker Mayfield over Dak? But Josh Allen, you know, Sam Darnold. There's no guarantees with just grabbing a quarterback.
Yeah, it's a tough one. I see. I think this is your subscriber. He says Trevor Lawrence will have his Cowboys team in the Super Bowl within 2 years. Fill the holes with other picks.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you know, you're free to believe whatever you want to believe. You're free to believe whatever you want to believe. You know how many times we've heard about a quarterback being a generational guy, and you know the end. I mean, every year there's a Trevor Lawrence, the guy that's going to be great. Last year was Joe Burrow, and Joe Burrow has now got MCL and ACL. You know, he may not be ready to start next year.
Joe Burrow got hurt. It's unfortunate. I mean, a lot of the Cincinnati quarterbacks have gotten hurt in the past. They've had a lot of injuries. I mean, Trevor Lawrence, you know, if he comes to Dallas, I mean, he's going to be pretty good for you guys. And Dak, I mean, Dak hasn't beaten a lot of teams over 500.
See, here, let's go back here again. Like you see, this is the thing that drives me crazy. Is we'll have a defense that gives up 36 points a game, and we'll say, well, you know, the quarterback can't beat those guys. You know, it's funny because If you just take, for example, that yesterday my team's defense gave up 28 points, right? If our defense only gave up 28 points against Cleveland and Seattle, that's 2 victories that the team has right there. Just dropping 7 points less than what they were giving up. Am I wrong on that? Am I wrong?
Yeah, your defense.
Yeah, I mean, we literally the first until Diggs got 2 interceptions, we had 3 takeaways on the season. You can't win if you're not getting the ball. We had Zeke, 4 fumbles on the season. The next running back has 2. Okay, but it's Dak's fault that we're not winning. Even though the guy's throwing up, getting guys the ball and things like that, he's got great weapons, as people will say. But, of course, Dak sucks. I'm sorry. You need a whole team to be able to win. You got a great defensive line. But if you don't have guys on the back end, people could still score, right? Is that saying that, Chase Young sucks because people are scoring a whole lot of points?
No, Chase Young's been fine. We do have the number 1 pass defense. He's been fine. A lot of people have been hard on him. He hasn't gotten the sacks like we want. He's gotten 3 sacks so far, but Chase Young has made a huge impact. He's made a big impact so far.
Right, but it can't. It's not just one guy.
Yeah,
there is not one quarterback. I'll give you okay. Think about Steve Young at Tampa Bay when he first came into the NFL. He went to Tampa Bay and they said, "Oh, this guy sucks," and they got rid of him. He goes to San Francisco, where there's a team, ends up winning a Super Bowl and was down in the Hall of Fame. Do you think he'd be in the Hall of Fame if he stayed at Tampa with that situation?
probably not.
Right. And you look at a lot of quarterbacks that go to the Cleveland Browns, which for whatever reason they just destroy quarterbacks, or you look at quarterbacks that go to New York. It's just like they don't know what to do. And if you go to a bad team and you get beat down early, and I think that's what's happening to Carson Wentz right now, is he's taking so many sacks, he's getting gun shy. Jason Campbell, when they had the chuck and duck offense for you guys. Jason Campbell at the point, as soon as that ball was snapped, he's sitting there thinking about who's going to hit me. And it literally ruined his career. And so that's where you still have to look at this more of, if my defense score, just drops just down to like NFL average. If my defense just, holds teams to 23 points, we're winning almost every game with that.
Yeah, if your defense can hold up, it is debatable. For some reason, Dak, he's just come up small in big moments, and Tony Romo did the same thing. They always find ways to choke and lose in big moments.
Oh, no. There's a difference between choking. Like, okay, I'll give you Kirk
Romo.
I'll give this is choking.
Remember when he choked and couldn't hold on to the freaking
field goal? I'm talking Tony. Okay, that's Tony Romo. I'm not talking about that.
At the end,
you don't see Dak doing no's at the end of the game. I tell you what a choke is. Was Kirk Cousins. Here it is, 2016. I will remember it like it was yesterday, okay? I was there at the stadium in that toxic waste dump of yours. You guys have a 1-score lead. It's late in the 4th quarter. You are in the red zone, and Kirk Cousins throws a freaking interception in the end zone. The Cowboys march all the way down the field. Alfred Morris in your house gets the game-winning touchdown. That is a choke. Okay, that's different than when your defense can't hold a team. Dak Prescott in against Green Bay, drives the team down there, gets the score, right? Takes the lead. As a rookie, okay, goes toe-to-toe with Aaron Rodgers, throws 3 touchdown passes, 304 yards, and here it is, Aaron Rodgers gets a miracle play on the sidelines because he left too much time on the clock. They kick the field goal and win. But it's Dak Prescott that lost the game on that? Really?
Well, look at the Eagles game. Dak came up really small in that game last year. He had the shoulder injury. And next thing you know, he plays well against us the week after. So, I mean, he came up really small in that Eagles game. That was the NFC East Championship last year. He didn't come up big in that game.
And Zeke Elliott also, but here's the thing, though. Okay, I'm going to give you my conspiracy theory on this one. Because
you wanted Jason Garrett fired.
The week before, after it was already like, well, if we don't get deep in the playoffs, Jason Garrett's not going to be around. We'll have to look in another direction, right? So it seemed like we played really great against the Rams. We kicked the Rams' ass. And then you kind of heard Jerry Jones kind of say, well, Jason Garrett's the one to lead us here. And the players, I honestly think that they thought, if we make it to the playoffs, we just saved Jason Garrett's job. Because I looked at that Ram game, you saw guys flying around the ball. Like last night against Minnesota, you saw some passion on the field. That first half of the season, you saw guys that literally just looked like they checked out on the season. Like, can we just get this game over with so I can get back and play the PlayStation? They were flying around the ball against the Rams. That team was so lackluster that played against the Eagles. Zeke Elliott, because you can talk about Dak Prescott showed up small in that game. Zeke Elliott showed up small in that game too.
Mark Cooper did too.
Yeah, everybody did. And I think that was, we don't want Jason Garrett.
Yeah. But it's hard to say that because it just feels like every December, the Cowboys just find a way to mess it up. But, this year again.
You got me choking on it.
This year again, blame it on the coaches. So it's like year after year. How many times can you blame it on coaching? The players got to step up and do something.
There's the old saying that those that live in glass houses shouldn't cast the first stone because what's your team done?
We got the NFC East Championship not too long ago. We just beat you guys 25-3. We just beat you guys 25-3. We skunked you guys.
Oh, okay. The sun shines on the dog's ass every time from time to time too. Now, come on.
No, we knocked you guys out.
Listen. We're all in the same toxic waste dump of three wins here. Purgatory.
That is true.
Come on, man. Okay, you beat a bad team. Okay, you beat a bad team.
We're all bad. We're all tied for second, 3 and 7. Like I said, six wins is going to win the division. 6 wins is going to win the division. We're all bad right now.
So you're guaranteeing a victory then on Thanksgiving?
Are you?
I never guarantee. I say I think that they got a chance, and I will give reasons why I think they have a chance.
I think we definitely have a chance. Like I said, it's going to be a close game. It's going to be a close game. It's not going to be a blowout. I don't think either team is good enough to blow each other out unless we play like we did in that first game where it was 25-3, where we get to Dalton. Now, you guys made some changes on the offensive line that are huge. Dak Martin being your left tackle, that's a huge help. Taking Terrence Steele out of the ball game. Zeke hasn't fumbled the ball as much as he used to because he had fumbleitis in the beginning.
4 fumbles. 4 fumbles in the first 5 games.
Yeah, so it was pretty bad. I heard Zeke finally got a 100-yard game. That's pretty bad.
But here's the thing. Let's see again. You're pointing the fingers at Zeke and saying, "Well, he finally got a 100-yard game." But you looked at some of those other games. You just talked about how bad Terrence Steele was. Terrence Steele, who in one game gave up 3 hits on the quarterback and 7 pressures. When you got a guy who's your tackle that's giving up that kind of stuff, when your running back is literally getting the ball at the same time that he's getting hit, he's not getting anything. I mean, even Barry Sanders would lose yards on some of those plays. Yesterday, there were some holes there to go through. And that's that makes a whole lot of difference here. That goes back to the same thing where people say, well, Dak Prescott can't win. Well, if you don't have an offensive line that's blocking for you, and you're getting killed, sorry, you're not going to win. I don't care who you are. If you got a defense that can't stop anybody, you'll win some of those shootouts, but eventually you're going to make some mistakes if you are throwing the ball every single play, and that's where we were in the first part of the season. The defense was atrocious, man. I mean, they couldn't stop a runny nose.
Yeah, you couldn't. I mean, Gibson went crazy on you guys. I think McKissick ran pretty well on you guys too. I mean, everybody went crazy. Kyler Murray went crazy. It was like back-to-back games that you guys gave up. And you guys gave up yardage to Dalvin Cook too. So it's going to come down to scoring the ball. I think this game I don't know if we'll get in the 30s, but it definitely could get in the high 20s. I could see maybe like a 27-24 kind of game because you can't stop the run, and we haven't been doing that great at stopping the run.
We've been better at stopping the run. Now,
you can get much worse.
Second half, Dalvin Cook did start getting some yardage, but that first half, he was flustered. We actually laid the wood to his behind, and you could see he was actually hurting on that one. We actually did a pretty good job when you think about how Dalvin Cook has been playing.
Yeah. Well, you couldn't get much worse. You couldn't get much worse.
No. I want you to think about it now.
Yeah.
Before this game, we had gone from 32nd in total defense to like 19th. That's a pretty major turnaround in a season because, I mean, that's actually saying you're playing better than 19th to bring that average down there. We were historically bad. Again, we gave up 309 yards on the ground to Cleveland.
Yeah, you gave 309. You gave Dalvin Cook had 115 yards on you guys yesterday.
And you think, okay, but see, that's Dalvin Cook. Dalvin Cook's been doing that to everybody though, and a lot of that was second half. The first half he didn't get that. I think he only had like 30 some yards because I was sitting there looking at the numbers because Zeke in the first half he's only averaging like 3.2 yards carry.
And
seriously, and then he started picking the second half. They started picking it up a bit more too because of course they were trying to pass to catch up, and so some of those runs were more effective. And he did heat up, but he did not blow us away like he did last year. Last year when we lost that game, it was almost the polar opposite because it was Dalvin Cook had like 190 some yards from scrimmage. He was taking screen passes and getting 15, 20 yards, and had like 100 yards rushing as well. Kirk Cousins only had 200 yards passing. Dak had 300 yards. No, sorry, 400 some yards, 3 touchdowns. We missed a field goal, which would have been a game changer, and we should have won the game. But it was, here it is. Dak took the ball from the 6-yard line. They're passing like crazy. They get down the red zone. Zeke Elliott has like 40 some yards, and Jason Garrett decides, well, let's just start running Zeke. We need a touchdown, and 2 plays, we lose yardage. Then there goes the game.
Right. Des Boy, some more shade of Dak. He said Dak turned the ball over twice in the Browns game. He contributes to that also. Alexander Wilson, take with the donation. He says Justin Herbert looks like a future superstar, and Joel Klatt said he wouldn't draft him in the first round. People are kicking themselves for that. Yeah, people get stuff wrong in the draft all the time. Somebody else had a donation. I missed that. Shout out to AM Hunter for becoming a channel member. He has the best profile picture out there. Shout out to him. That is my guy, AM Hunter. Thank you for becoming a channel member. So I wanted to ask you more about matchups. Which matchup are you looking forward to in this game?
I'm actually looking forward to my defense, my new look defense against your offense. I want to see how well they can put pressure on Alex Smith. And I actually really want to look at my offensive line if we stick with Zach Martin at tackle and keeping Connor McGovern at guard, how well they play on that front. I'm hoping that it's going to be night and day difference from where we were before.
Yeah, the offensive line is going to be key. I mean, Montez Sweat, I think he had 2 sacks against you guys. Landon Collins had a sack, a strip fumble on Andy Dalton. He will not be playing. He's out for the year. Kerrigan had a sack, so we had a field day on an offensive line. Shout out to Peter. Thank you for the donation. He says, Washington football will never be good under Daniel Snyder. Get over it, bro. I mean, you can say the same about Dallas with Jerry Jones. You do have 2 owners, 2 dysfunctional owners. One, Jerry Jones is a GM. He's on the phone telling radio hosts to shut up and listen. And then we got, Snyder on the other end that's very stubborn. And he likes to meddle with things and draft guys. So, I mean, we both have terrible, terrible owners. We haven't been to the NFC Championship since, 1995 or something like that.
Yeah.
So it's been bad. This is an NFC East bowl with 2, 3, and 7 teams that are trying to win the division at 6 and 10. So I mean, we'll see. Dan Snyder has the scandal, like you said, and Jerry Jones. There's pictures of him on an elevator with some young ladies and stuff. So they both have their scandals. Both are not innocent. I wanted to ask you about your team on offense too. So I do a thing usually called studs and duds. Who's been some studs so far in your offense, and who's been some duds on your offense?
Studs on our offense, Zach Martin. Zach Martin is the best player on our team, hands down. Zach Martin has. Zeke has definitely been a down year for him. Amari Cooper, everybody always talks about trading him, but Amari Cooper has actually been really, really consistent. And CeeDee Lamb, and if CeeDee had Dak Prescott for the whole season, he would have been Rookie of the Year. CeeDee is literally that good. Yesterday, he didn't have that many yards as far as receptions, but he had a big run that's in there. He ended up being on punt returns and had some great returns and stuff on there. He's a stud. He, without a doubt, is a stud. And we're fortunate to have him. When you start thinking about down the road with Amari Cooper's contract, basically you got to keep him for 1 more year. You could see letting him go, paying Michael Gallup, trying to bring in and develop another wide receiver. But CeeDee in a slot, that guy's a beast, and they don't come any tougher than that.
Yeah, CeeDee Lamb had a great catch. I'll give him props on that. CeeDee Lamb had a bad game against us, but he's looked pretty good so far. Amari Cooper. What do you think about the label on Amari Cooper, that he quits on games, that he pouts on the sideline, that he's only good in home games?
I tell you what, last year I think he actually was hurt a lot more than what they gave on. He had the plantar fasciitis with his foot. Then he had a little knee ailment. He had a thigh ailment and things. And I think that he is one of those guys that is an exact route runner and precise and stuff like that. I think he was actually hurt more than people knew. And some days just couldn't go. And they just looked at it and said, well, he's just checking out. Well, I don't know if he really checked out or if he just physically wasn't able to. Every week it was always like, he's questionable or he did not practice and so on. So I look at this year, when Dak went down, nobody was doing anything. But before that, he was always pretty consistent. For me, I like him. I think because what he does helps everybody else. Because everybody's like, oh, well, let's just get rid of Amari Cooper. And it's like, you don't seem to understand that when you have one guy that demands attention, because Amari Cooper is so consistent, they roll the coverage towards him. You got CD in the slot. You got to worry about him too, and you can't cover everybody. So you got usually one-on-one for Michael Gallup on the outside. He is definitely benefiting from having Amari Cooper. If now you get rid of Amari Cooper and you don't have a weapon that's that good over there, that makes it harder for those other two guys. You start seeing their numbers come down. Think of Alvin Harper. Back in the day for us, Alvin Harper going across the middle, he looked like he was an absolute beast. People are like, well, maybe we don't need Michael Irvin, but he looks great. He goes to Tampa Bay and he becomes the guy, the number one receiver, and he's got nothing. You guys ended up paying him. He came there and nothing. He benefited from the fact that you had to worry about Emmitt Smith. You had to worry about having Michael Irvin. You had so many guys that you had to worry about that you can't cover them all.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, Amari Cooper. I mean, you trade a first round pick. He's solid. We definitely have to look out for him. Having Gallup there too. Donnie Anthony, thank you for the donation. He says, "Do you think Washington regrets signing Landon Collins?" It's hard to say no. 6 years, $84 million, and a lot guaranteed. He's a box safety. He's pretty slow. He's slow as molasses. He actually wasn't tackling. I think he led the league in missed tackles, but his best game was against you guys, where he stripped.
At 3 yesterday. Somebody said check mark stats and stuff. If you go by yardage, we're actually 22nd right now in yards given up on the defense. And when you think that we were 32nd, the fact that we moved down, that's actually pretty big for us.
I think you guys are ranked 30th with points per game given up, though.
Yeah, but you go back. Okay, let's think about it now. For a while there, we were giving up. We get 48 to Cleveland. Okay, that game alone. And for a while there, we're averaging giving up 32. And see, this is the thing that you got to be careful with statistics, because that was before the defense started playing better. So you look at the first 7 games where it was just awful. All of a sudden you start playing better and you're trending down. What I'm saying is the defense is trending down. You looked at how they played against the Steelers, which I believe are 10-0 right now. The Steelers have almost as many victories themselves in our whole division. They played pretty good against them. I'm not saying that they're the 85 Bears, but you have to look at that and say, okay, we're getting better on the defense. The fact that Dalvin Cook only had 115 yards compared to Cleveland having 309, you got to say that's an improvement.
Yeah, I mean, it's still bad, but like you said, I get what you're saying. It is an improvement from 300 yards to 100 yards. That is a huge improvement. It's a low bar, but I definitely get it. Peter, thank you for the donation. He said Jerry Jones is just as bad. Yeah, like I said, I mean, 2 terrible owners. I really don't know which one is worse. It's a tough one. It probably is Snyder. I'm not gonna lie to you, but they both are bad. They both are bad.
Well, the one thing I will say, at least, about the Cowboys is when you look at some of the players that we've drafted over the last 10 years, we've actually had a lot of talent that's come through with the Cowboys. The fact that you got 2 quarterbacks that, and between Dak and Tony Romo, and you only gave up a 4th round draft pick, you did pretty good at finding a quarterback. You've had 2 NFL rushing champs over the last 10 years, 2 different guys. That's a major accomplishment right there. The problem hasn't been getting the players. The problem is getting the players to perform the way they should. And that's where the Cowboys have really had their problems.
Right. So who's been some studs on your defense? Has anybody played well for you guys, and who's been some duds for you guys? I know there's a lot of duds on defense.
D-Law has actually played really well.
Okay.
It doesn't seem like it because he doesn't have just like Chase Young, he doesn't have the sacks, but he's getting a lot of tackles for losses. He's getting a lot of pressure and stuff on the quarterback, and he's demanding a lot more attention. Aldon Smith has been, a lot better. For a guy who hadn't played since 2016, he has actually played really, really well. Of course, Jerry's already talking about we need to extend that guy, and I'm kind of like, well, hold up, just yet. If he demands a whole lot of money, maybe you let him go and get that compensatory pick the following year for him. We've gone through this whole thing and keep paying guys. You need to look at getting some young guys. Antoine Woods is another guy that's played really well out there, on the defense. He's come a long ways. He originally took a tender from the Cowboys. For a while there, you thought he was going to be a forgotten man, but he's become actually one of the keys on the defensive line the last couple of weeks, along with the rookie Gillimore. Diggs, he ended up being drafted second round, ended up being our best cornerback, 2 interceptions in one game. Unfortunately got injured, so he's out for the season right now, but he's definitely been playing well. So we've got a few pieces that we can work on the defense. If we focus the draft on the defense, you get Dak Prescott back. If you can get another tackle to back up Tyron Smith, we still have a lot of players for the future.
Okay. So we'll do over under keys to victory, bold prediction, and we'll do some of those, and then we'll probably head out because I know you got to do your stream. So
yeah,
I'll do over under. So Zeke over under 100 yards and over under 1 fumble.
Under the 1 fumble. Over 100. I'm actually going to say over 100.
Okay. And our run defense hasn't been that great. I'll be honest with you, it hasn't, because we let Alfred Morris run wild on us with the Giants game, who played in Washington in 2012, and then the Bengals they weren't bad running the football, but we ended up stopping the run towards the end when Joe Burrow got hurt. So
when Joe Burrow got hurt, the life went out of that team. You could see that team just. That was like when Dak Prescott went down, that you just looking at guys like, I can't believe this. Now, we were fortunate to get the victory, the game-winning drive with Andy Dalton there. But, when you lose your quarterback like that, man, it's hard to play after that.
Yeah. But I got Zeke being under. I got him with 1 fumble. I got him under.
Okay.
I got I think he'll probably get about 60 yards. He's going to split with Pollard, so I got him getting about 60 yards. I think our D line, the Bama boys, should step up and get some stops. And then I want to do over under with Andy Dalton, 200 yards passing and 1 interception.
I'll say slightly over 200, and I'd probably say he'll get 1 interception. I'm not going to say it's. Can I just take even? Can I just take even? Over on the interceptions.
Okay. Yeah, I think you're about right on that one. I think you're about right. Who has more sacks in this game, D-Law or Chase Young?
Neither of them have been getting a lot of sacks.
How many does D-Law have this year?
D has 3.5, 4.
Okay. Yeah, Chase has 3.
Yeah, they're about the same spot. Andy Dalton can't move, and neither can Alex Smith. Shit. I'm gonna say D-Law.
Okay. So you been a homer with that one?
No, actually, because I'm looking at because our defense has kind of evolved. Randy Gregory is actually playing really, really well. He was sick this past week. He didn't get any tackles, and he didn't get any sacks, but he got 3 hits on the quarterback that were actually really, really key. And so when you start thinking about that rotation with Aldon Smith and Randy Gregory, and now that we actually have a presence in the middle, it's going to be a lot to focus in on stopping D-Law. D-Law is not getting as much double team as he used to, and I think he's going to have a chance against Alex Smith. Alex Smith is not that, he can't move around that well, and every time he gets hit, I still cringe. I just keep thinking that one of these times it's going to snap like a toothpick. I'm not wishing on it. I'm just kind of like bracing for it. And that's why I think that maybe D-Law will. I think the Cowboys' offensive line, the reason I say this is this offensive line isn't the same as it was before. Getting Terrence Steele out of there has helped. Zach Martin, Connor McGovern at the guard position is coming along. Joe Looney, after having the week of rest, he's actually a little bit better than he's played now. He's back. This will be his third game back. And Brandon Knight has actually been pretty good at tackle as well for his first game back. So I'm looking at it not from the standpoint of saying, oh, well, just being a homer. I'm actually looking at it and saying, I think our offensive line is actually better than it was before, as well as our defensive line. And that's why I got to get, and I'm a homer. Okay, let's be honest, I'm a homer.
Yeah, I think we ended up with 4. I think Chase gets 1. D-Law might get 1, like you said. Alex is a little slow there. He still has drop foot.
Mm-hmm.
But I think they'll both probably tie with 1. What's your bold prediction for the game?
Bold prediction that one of these teams is in first place in the division. That's my bold prediction. Somehow, some way, we'll find a way to fuck it up. Both of us will end up with a tie.
Yeah, with a tie.
It'll be a 3-way tie for first place in the division. That's my bold prediction. How about that?
Mm-hmm. All right. What's your keys to victory and your final score prediction for the game?
Oh shit. I actually don't think it's going to be that much score in this game. I think with it being a short week, I think it's going to be a running game for the Dallas Cowboys. That we're just going to be trying to focus in on the run because your team has not been great at stopping the run. I think that is the soft spot for your team. I think the Cowboys are trying to slow down the tempo of the game, run the football and things, and I think my defense might actually get in there and do something. I don't think you're going to be able to run on us the way you usually do.
Well, even if you do stop the run, we got
Mm-hmm.
Terry McLaurin. Terry McLaurin had a great game against you guys. He had a heck of a game on Trayvon Diggs. His son Trayvon Diggs beat him like a drum a couple times.
Mm-hmm.
So we saw what Justin Jefferson did last week. We saw what Thielen did. So
He's ass. Justin Jefferson's ass. That's Philly 500 would say.
Yeah, so we're gonna take advantage of that, and we're gonna get this play action going. Alex, hit some guys deep. We just got to get to Dalton. We got to hit Dalton. You see Bostic right there. I don't know if we have to hit him that hard like that, but we just got to get back to Dalton. Got to get those sacks. And what did you say your final score was?
Oh boy, I hadn't thought about it yet. I'm gonna say 24-10 Cowboys.
Oh man, that was a good joke, man. You got to do stand up after that one.
Boom, boom. Okay.
All right.
I think the Cowboys are going to show up. I know you're feeling good after beating the Bengals. I know you're feeling good after beating the Bengals and everything. But come on, man. Come on, Bengals, and you knocked their quarterback out.
On the Warpath said Dallas is 31st against the run. What the F is this? What the F is this brother smoking?
Again, look at the trends, okay? You can't go ahead and look at the team that played against the Browns that gave up 309 yards, that gave up only 40-some to the Steelers. I think that's a little different. You look at trends, but that's okay. I was right about yesterday, wasn't I? When nobody else took the Cowboys.
Well, you were right about us winning. You were right.
I was right about you. I was about the Eagles, and I was right about the Cowboys. Boom. So that's okay. Don't believe me. Don't believe me. That's cool.
Yeah. Well, hopefully Joe Boo can bring some of his bad luck to Dallas on Thursday.
Philly. You talk about somebody smoking something. Joe Gibbs is the worst coach to ever coach in the NFC East. Are you kidding me?
Philly's just a troll. He's just a troll.
Dude. Come on, man. Come on.
He's just mad because they're about to be the last place team in the NFC least.
Yeah, you're right. Philly. Well, I got to get out of here because I got to get my stuff set up for my live stream here. I appreciate you having me on. And are you going to do a live stream during the game?
I won't be able to live stream, but I will be, watching us get this win.
All right. I hear you talking. We'll have to wait and see. But that's why they play the football game.
That is true. It's going to be a good game. It's going to be a close game. I'll say that. It's going to be a very close game.
All right.
Thanks for having me on, man.
Okay. Now I got to figure out how to get off of this thing.
All right, so you guys have a good night. Hail to the football team. Everybody have a happy Thanksgiving.